Peace and power, you want both. Peace and power, we want both. Peace and power. This is what you're looking at, the manifestation of peace and power. Love to the sister Camellia, love to J Stu. Watch this video so you know what the wave is. This is the manifestation of the wave. Never mind, you know what I'm saying, anything we can raise. I mean, just the fact that we got land, that we own land because of this wave right here. That the timing of this wave was so spectacular, you know, for our brotherhood to form, for our tribe to form. And again, no one has to acknowledge your tribe for you to know who you are, for you to be family. No one has to acknowledge your family for you to be family. Rule number one, that is sovereignty. You are, you exist. Once you acknowledge you exist and can flow with your indigenous existence, then you are awakening, then you are returning, then you are making your exodus from the concrete prison to once again vibrate with our creator and our sacred trees. Love to John for his recent donation. Love to you, brother. Love to V Brown. Love to all the family that continues to drop the drop. You know who you are. I just love you so much. And again, this is always to support, make sure the tribe is good. Every time we make our waves, and now that we got our land, we can just make our waves into it. You know, be there. You know what I'm saying? Other folks go up there. So whatever we have, it's all going into that pot so that whichever family, it could be you, you're going up there, you need some help. We already got something in the pot. So, you know, it might be, you know, meager to you, but hey, it comes in handy and it comes in big when you need a tent, when you need, you know what I'm saying, some type of heat lamp, extra blankets, you know what I'm saying? So keep supporting because, you know, this is all the real spill, you know what I'm saying, that we are contributing and coming together with, and you know where to do it. It's fair use in your caboose. We about to have some good times, man, some good times. Don't mind us. Yeah. Oh, where's my, oh yeah, so you know, you go to the homepage, man, you just click on Support Drop Nation, and you'll get that link to support. You can always click the PayPal, man, if you just want to drop it on the drop and support our framework, man, as we are building our 432, building our radio, building our site, building all the things that we're building, and everything, you know what I'm saying? Every bit of drop is a beautiful thing. So thank you all for what you've been doing and the steady flow, the steady love. But let's just jump into it, man. Let's just go. We're just talking to Utah history. Love to the family. I believe Kenneth Collier. Hope I got the name right. Kenneth Collier. Great brother. Been surfing the wave for such a beautiful long time, man. And I appreciate your steady energy, my brother. And he dropped this on us, man. He said, man, you got to check out this history. It's nothing but jewels. So I said, all right, man. Well, let's all fall back and listen very carefully because we will get the drop. We just taking a railroad tour. Come take a ride with me through the Utah Desert Empire. Let go. Pay attention. Pay close attention. Now, Desert Empire. So we are talking Israel, my people. You are talking, you know, Deuteronomy, you know, 36, you are 34. You are talking all the Galilees and the seas of Galilees and the Ephraims and the Udall, the golden spike. Go. Let's jump that. Let go.
2 million pounds of steel and coal harnessed together furnish the power that drives Rio Grande Scenic Limited westbound over towering Continental Divide, through rugged Tennessee Pass, 10,240 feet of elevation in a land of Herculean proportions, down a granite vertebra of the backbone of the North American continent, into color-splashed canyons modeled with spruce and pine, evergreen sponges that retard the rush of water from eternal snows. Mile after mile, our route parallels the Colorado River, a swift-flowing palette that catches the myriad colors of nature's endless parade of beauty, a surging guide that leads us across Colorado's boundary at dusk into Utah. Now a mysterious land of empurpled distances, shadow-tinted by a retreating sun. Rhythmic wheels symphonize a lullaby of flanges and rails, desert night and sky spangles, past small way stations, on to a dawn destination, Arches National Monument, which is reached from a tiny desert outpost, Thompson, Utah.
And love to the family, Albert Thompson, man. He's been dropping so much drop on the Thompson River Indians, and we really got to dig on him, man, because that seems to be quite the bit of gold there. Quite the bit of pure water in them Thompsons, man. Love to the brother.
Flame scarlet rays herald the approach of a desert morning, and we are on our way by horseback to the Arches, a complex group of sandstone portals ranging in size from peepholes to great openings through which armies could march. Everywhere they exhibit a wizardry of sculpture, great bowls of sandstone, perfectly engineered.
Perfectly engineered. So they're telling you that these are monuments. Monuments in Utah. Let go.
Spectacular rock visions dominating this vast desert domain. Giant openings are natural windows through which we view an enchanted land. Red rocks and sagebrush reaching out to the mighty snow-capped La Salle Mountains. Like a fantastic scene from the Arabian Nights, we succumb to the spell of a desert witchery and are enthralled by an unbelievable processional, a parade of elephants, mighty stone pachyderms.
You see? Monuments. You see the elephant and the elephant trunk? They're giving you all the game, man. This is a sculpture of a elephant out of rock.
From the Arabian Nights, we...
Wow, hold on.
The giant openings are natural windows through which we view an enchanted land. Red rocks and sagebrush reaching out to the mighty snow-capped La Salle Mountains. Like a fantastic scene from the Arabian Nights, we succumb to the spell of a desert witchery and are enthralled by an unbelievable processional, a parade of elephants, mighty stone pachyderms, as if waiting the appearance of a bejeweled potentate. This is a world of magic windows, grotesque grandeur created by wind and erosion. The desert possesses an impelling force. Miles of pale yellow sand lift themselves to meet a sky band of faraway cliffs. An indescribable vastness softened now by the waning purple and molten silver shadows of a departing day. Aboard the Scenic Limited again, through ebony darkness, into Utah's great Carbon County coal region. Bound for Castle Gate, imposing entrance to the Wasatch Plateau. Gray sandstone projections atop the canyon ridges guard the bituminous wealth of this section. Enough coal to supply the entire United States for 250 years. It is estimated almost 196 billion tons of coal remain to be mined, and the fact that 45% reaches out-of-state markets makes for an endless parade of coal-laden gondolas up and down mountain grades. The coal resources of Utah are enormous, with 1/5 of the state underlaid with this valuable combustible mineral. Utah coal, black magic that fires the furnaces of progress.
Black magic. Black magic.
Lunch, a pleasant interlude, tasty dishes spiced with fleeting scenes. Up to Soldier Summit, over 7,000 feet high, the crest of the Wasatch Plateau. Here the railroad reaches its highest Utah elevation, and what was once the scene of Indian warfare is now a busy mountain crossroad. Passengers and
Indian warfare. Who are you, so-called Negro? And look how they trod down your land.
commerce moving east and west over a modern double-track system, a quartet of steel arteries reaching into infinity. We're over the hump, and it's down to Provo, Utah's third largest city. A scene of great agricultural activity, Provo testifies to the reclamation of the desert. A bronze plaque commemorates the historic trek of Father Escalante, priest and pathfinder, who entered this region in 1776. Failing in his effort to find a shorter route between the missions at Santa Fe and Monterey, Escalante was nonetheless overawed by the commanding picture of Mount Timpanogos, which the Indians called the Sleeping Princess. Over 12...
That kind of looked like a nose and a mouth, but all right, let me go back. Sleeping Princess. Oh, we're learning a lot about Escalante.
Nonetheless overawed by the commanding picture of Mount Timpanogos.
Now, does this look like a tree stump? And they called her the Sleeping Princess? So you tell me, is this a mountain or is it a tree?
Which the Indians called the Sleeping Princess.
Sleeping
Over
Princess.
12,000 feet high, it is a perpetual spillway for the crystal cold liquid snow rushing to assimilate itself with Utah Lake, the largest body of fresh water in the state and the fountainhead of Utah's vast and important enterprise, irrigation. To the Mormon settlers, this lake was the Sea of Galilee in their new Holy Land, supplying water for Utah's River Jordan. Vast and important enterprise, irrigation. To the Mormon settlers, this lake was the Sea of Galilee in their new Holy Land.
Do you think it's play? You just think they just recreated a bunch of holy stuff? Or did they come here for their peace? And then Columbus said, I'm going to conquer America, the holy city, Mount Zion, for Isabella. All right. They're telling you what it is, not what they're just playing. That this is the Sea of Galilee.
Liquid snow rushing to assimilate itself with Utah Lake, the largest body of fresh water in the state and the fountainhead of Utah's vast and important enterprise, irrigation. To the Mormon settlers, this lake was the Sea of Galilee in their new Holy Land, supplying water for Utah's River Jordan.
River Jordan?
To provide a steady flow, powerful pumps are utilized so that man is enabled to cooperate with nature in perpetuating the transformation of once barren Salt Lake Valley. And like the biblical River Jordan, this stream too has its Dead Sea.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Y'all gotta... They're not This is 1948. Desert Empire. An empire that was brought down that used to be full of water. You got the Forbidden History joint talking about Lake Kapala. Oh man, because this ain't play. Y'all think I'm playing you, and that's just insulting. Guys, you're insulting me with this assumptions that I'm playing you. Stop thinking I'm playing you. This is real spill. Cause this is hard to get, this manuscript. Love to my sister Selma. She was like, you know how hard this was for me to get it? And she got it to us. Talking about Lake Kapala in Utah, the treasures of Utah. We need to get this PDF of the treasures of Utah. Alright. Some of my friends fell. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, I had suspected for years of a remnant of the ancient ocean. The ancient ocean, which once covered the eastern half of Utah. So now we're talking about this Sea of Galilee. We're talking about, all these waters. And do not be surprised, because there used to be a large ocean. And what happened? For some time, I had played with the idea of the basin area of the northeastern Utah retaining a lake, having been fed by the underground rivers that are more abundant under our Utah mountains than any geologist will admit. It is my belief that this lake existed from the days of the crucifixion, dodge the hijack, to about 900 AD. Focus on that time, 900 AD. We're talking large amounts of water in Utah, underground rivers, when another earthquake mentioned by the Roman or Romani, Israelite, Jewish, Israelite colonies, Roma, Indian, Israelite colonies, and Native American legend occurred, causing the source waters to return to the underground, subsiding day by day until about 1000 AD. So then all this water got sucked up by the underground waters, went to the source waters to return to the underground. Now will your water return? Alright, so you see this lake, you know what I mean? So we're just talking Kalalus, the secret land of Kalalus or Cibola. And this is Cibola. We're talking some water, talking Sept, we're talking 7 cities. We're talking Kalalus. Hold up, I think they got, see, alright, we got, compare this Google Earth image with the lake, highlighted 5,600 foot elevation, especially compared to the Granata Nova map. You see this Granata means pomegranate, based on, what we got last time, man, get that drop. So we got this land of pomegranates, or promised land, as these pomegranates were found or brought back by, the scouts that Moses sent. Now we got Granata, Nova, 7 cities of Cibola, 7 cities of gold. Cities of gold. We're talking Cibola, which is Kalalus, right? We're talking Cibola. Oh man. We're talking the land of Kalalus or Cibola. Now let's go ahead a little bit. Let's get land of Kalalus or Cibola, right? And then we're going to break down. Here's my Kalalu. 61. Alright, right here. We get it bigger. So Kalalus or Cibola, and then we have Kalalus, meaning promised land. and in one sense, and or Caliques, which is the land of America. Copper color race found here. So-called Negro. They call you African American. Yet you're here in America in Kalalus in the promised land. And not Jewish Catholic state. We're talking Israelites. We're talking Theodore Roos. We're talking Sylvanus, Texas. We're talking Solomon the Builder. We're talking all this stuff going down. The Kalalus records speak of Theodorus as the leader of many peoples, leaving the Romani, not Roman, Romani, India lands for Kalalus, which is these four corners, in 775. Now, what part of this 775 his story did you get? These are not white Romans. These are Romani, India. Prestigian of the three Indias. We're talking the Roma. They also call you Gypsy. Theodore Roos, Septimania, 777 cities of gold. 7 cities, Sivola. All right, man. We're just talking the promised land, man. So I had to get a little bit of that because, this is an extraordinary document. We don't always, walk shoulder to shoulder with it because, they always try to hijack you in one way or another. But this is an extraordinary document because these sources are all out there for anyone to start pulling up because you got a lot of these keywords. So all these series are tying together for that very reason. Now we can use that perspective. Just surf that wave as we watch this guy talk about the Sea of Galilee and all that in Utah when we just got that. That's the promised land. Now, whose promised land? What promised land? A promised land isn't just one particular land. It's one tribe could be promised this land. One tribe could be promised that land. Your promised land is your promised land. But we know we're talking about the land of America. And according to the 1828 Webster Dictionary, definition of American, the copper color race found here. We're talking the Americans. The copper color race is found here. So who's rocking in 775? Talking about Kalalus and your promised land. All right. Let's go back.
Supplying water for Utah's River Jordan.
River Jordan. All right, listen up, man. Listen carefully.
And molten silver shadows of a departing day. Aboard the Scenic Limited again through ebony darkness into Utah's great Carbon County coal region. Bound for Castle Gate, imposing entrance to the Wasatch Plateau. Gray sandstone projections atop the canyon ridges guard the bituminous wealth of this section. Enough coal to supply the entire United States for 250 years. It is estimated almost 196 billion tons of coal remain to be mined. And the fact that 45% reaches out-of-state markets makes for an endless parade of coal-laden gondolas up and down mountain grades. The coal resources of Utah are enormous, with 1/5 of the state underlaid with this valuable combustible mineral.
So Kalalus is filled with coal.
Utah coal, black magic that fires the furnaces of progress.
Kalalus is filled with black magic. Combustible.
Lunch, a pleasant interlude, tasty dishes spiced with fleeting scenes.
Now they got black people serving these people, and these is the niggas, these is the Indians, these are the Nagush. These are the ones that they brought the Hebrew interpreter over to speak to the Grand Khan. And now your land is trodden down.
Up to Soldier Summit, over 7,000 feet high, the crest of the Wasatch Plateau. Here the railroad reaches its highest Utah elevation, and what was once the scene of Indian warfare is now a busy mountain crossroad. Passengers and commerce moving east and west over a modern double-track system, a quartet of steel arteries reaching into infinity. We're over the hump, and it's down to Provo, Utah's third largest city. A scene of great agricultural activity, Provo testifies to the reclamation of the desert. A bronze plaque commemorates the historic trek of Father Escalante, priest and pathfinder, who entered this region in 1776. Failing in his effort to find a shorter route between the missions at Santa Fe and Monterey, Escalante was nonetheless overawed by the commanding picture of Mount Timpanogos, which the Indians called the Sleeping Princess. Over 12,000 feet high, it is a perpetual spillway for the crystal-cold liquid snow rushing to assimilate itself with Utah Lake, the largest body of fresh water in the state and the fountainhead of Utah's vast and important enterprise, irrigation. To the Mormon settlers, this lake was the Sea of Galilee in their new Holy Land, supplying water for Utah's River Jordan. To provide a steady flow, powerful pumps are utilized, so that man is enabled to cooperate with nature in perpetuating the transformation of once barren Salt Lake Valley. And like the biblical River Jordan, this stream too has its Dead Sea, emptying into the Great Salt Lake. Modern irrigation traces its beginning to that July day in 1847 when advance scouts of Brigham Young's party plowed ground and began what is generally accepted as the first irrigation project by Anglo-Saxons on this continent. Pioneer foresight and frontier ingenuity have wrought a miracle. Irrigation ditches fed by rivers and streams traverse once...
Now they're irrigating your land when you're masters of irrigation already. You read Dan Stanton writes an Ame'rican Holocaust, man, they had fresh water. It's like they were drinking fresh water from miles away going into the Yucatan. All of that was fresh water, not sea water. Fresh water. Oceans. Irrigation mastery. Now what's he over here doing? Oh, you ain't there no more to irrigate your land, so-called Negro?
Waterless valleys. A parched land drinks its fill of gurgling waters. Responding with an amazing fertility, Utah soil produces, with the possible exception of citrus fruits, any farm product grown elsewhere in North America.
Utah soil produces dang near everything is what you're hearing. Promised land.
One of the oldest and most important agricultural pursuits is the cultivation of sugar beets, giving Utah high rank as a producer of beet sugar. Liquid sunlight gurgles and sings with the cool seduction of flowing water, bestowing a new sense of beauty. Flowery aisles of cherry blossoms are dreamy avenues of fragrance, spreading out in broad, open meadows of color.
Wow. Where's the Indian? Where's the Indian?
Ethereal petals of pink, delicately tinted by the radiance of a morning sun, create a fairyland pastoral scene with an air of biblical peace and serenity.
Everything is biblical. They're just throwing it in your face, bone.
Are the children of earth and water, decking themselves in petal splendor, saluting the birth of a desert empire. Copperton, Utah, the model city that Copper built with its copper-shingled homes, is the approach to Bingham, famous mining town, with its 7-mile-long canyon street. a narrow lane sprouting frame dwellings. Located 25 miles southwest from modern Salt Lake City, Bingham still utilizes a 1-horsepower mail delivery system, with the result that mail is picked up and delivered in real old Western style. Our next objective is the mine headquarters of the Utah Copper Company, for many years the scene of feverish activity. Small cable-hauled trams provide an inclined ascent for several hundred feet, permitting us unrestricted vision of this little town. So vast are the mining operations here, it is necessary to board yet another vehicle, this time the caboose of a supply train, to see the world's largest open-cut copper mine. What a spectacle! This man-made wonder, an immense amphitheater-like quarry, terraced with 23 benches or working levels, each...
Just a quarry. They're getting all this from these trees. Can you imagine the trees? Can you imagine what a tree really looked like? Copper and gold and, everything they're getting, man, is just plentiful. Everything grows there. It's so biblical. Look, man, this Joseph Smith guy didn't just come making up shit. He got his piece for his people. He said, man, let me hijack this for my situation. And hey, the gig is up.
70 feet high. The mine covers an operating area of 475 acres. It is 1,600 feet from the crest to the floor of the pit, which is encircled with miles of railroad track, over which electric engines haul ore cars of 80 and 100-ton capacity. First prospected in 1862 by United States soldiers, it remained dormant until the period of the Spanish-American War, when Colonel Daniel C. Jackling, realizing its great possibilities, made his preliminary efforts to create this awe-inspiring project. Like the fabled ventures of Egyptian pharaohs, this great enterprise, too, depends upon manpower, and more than 4,000 are employed when operating at peak capacity to handle a single day's output of 70,000 tons of low-grade copper ore. Enough mineral in one day to fill 824 cars, equivalent to a train almost 5 miles long, and that's mining. Terrace and trestle cross and recross this massive mineral basin. Until 1938, more than 266 million cubic yards of material was removed from this enormous mine, a staggering feat, exceeding the total excavations for the Panama Canal by more than 20 million cubic yards. A blasting preliminary is the loading and shooting of spring holes, a prologue to the stupendous multiple explosions. Mechanical molds, electric churn drills burrow into the earth, a chain of holes each approximately 23 feet in depth. Fearless powder monkeys nonchalantly pack the small but mighty capsules of ammonium nitrate powder into the apertures, enough explosive to literally move the earth. And here it goes! What an explosion! Thunder over Utah! 125,000 tons of mineral dust. A veritable...
Look at how much they're just digging and coring like little parasites in your body. I mean, this is asinine. If you are natural at all, to be this damn destructive just to get something that you want, or you think man, these people will destroy anything to get something that they value. Everything but what is real. These people didn't value gold the way these people value gold. Gold had its uses. It had its uses. It was plentiful. It had its uses. Now we think like them. Unnatural.
Smoky curtain of copper. This man-made earthquake is the signal that sends empty ore cars on their way to load up. And it becomes necessary to lay whole sections of new track in order to reach the debris. 29 electric shovels stab the earth. Giant steel dippers scooping 6 to 7 tons of rock at a time, completely filling an ore car in the record time of 5 minutes.
They're proud of this shit. Money, 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 money.
They move mountains here in Utah. And the parade of rock-laden cars starts for the Magna Mill. Part of the blasted material is capping or waste, but this too is utilized, being dumped so that water may flow through it, and in this manner capture certain chemical qualities with the power to transform tin can shavings into almost pure copper precipitate. In reality, these shavings are scrap iron, gathered in bales like hay. And pitched into a lengthy trough. Becoming saturated with the copper-charged water, the waste iron is magically converted into copper. Troughs, technically called launders, deposit the solution in huge settling tanks, extending the length of the plant. At this stage, the precipitate is 89% copper and is ready to be transported to the smelter for the fiery baptism which will convert it into solid metal. We leave the precipitate and follow the ore to Magna Mill, where we witness an amazing operation. A carload of rock turned upside down like a toy in a powerful rotary dumper. Sharing our fascination is Colonel Daniel C. Jackson, active head of this stupendous copper enterprise. Tons of rock are catapulted into the crusher, looking for all the world like a huge coffee grinder, creating an ear-splitting roar. Conveyor belts carry the grist from crusher to crusher, each chewing the ore a little finer, until mechanical classifiers divert any remaining coarse bits to the battery of ball mills. Pulverized to a fine consistency, the ore is mixed with reagents, becomes a pulp-like mixture, and is delivered to the flotation machines where the copper mineral is floated away from the worthless gang or rock and recovered as copper concentrate and then made ready for delivery to the smelter. Here, gold, strangely enough, is a byproduct of copper, being caught in valuable quantities in these launders through which the mill tailings flow. Efficient mining and smelting of low-grade ore makes for continuous activity at the massive Garfield smelter, where more copper matte is produced than at any other place in the world. From one steel volcano to another, the fiery copper lava is drawn, rejecting all waste material or slag. The slag is skimmed off. It is poured into special metal dump cars. Then it is rushed to the slag pile, where it cascades down the side of an ever-increasing mountain of waste. Purged and purified, the stream of molten copper is molded into 450-pound blocks, cooling streams of water playing on the hissing, steaming oblongs. And thus, copper is born to serve mankind. Slender strands, Metal arteries loaded with the lifeblood of industry. Electric power.
All this coming out of the promised land. You know what I'm saying? All of this is ours, man. All this Mexica, all Jerusalem, all the connection, man. But look at this, man. Now it's generating, their false grid. You know what I'm saying? Coming out of the ground. You're just blowing shit up, pouring shit over here. Just straight up fallen angel tech. Mining everything, quarrying everything out. Just get a few more minutes, man. Love to the brother. You know what I'm saying? For dropping this on the classroom, man. We really appreciate this, man. Because, it gets us really focused, man. This is 1948. And you see all the references to, the Old Testament, the sites of the Old Testament. You see the connection with Horace Butler as already drawn as a separate researcher. You just got the Forbidden Histories of America with the Kalelus, Promised Land connection, Pomegranate connection, Sevelo, Sivola, 7 cities of gold. Who's Preston John? All right, man. Come on.
Hemispheres are linked. A world speaks. That's copper. Established in pioneer days as a bathing resort, Black Rock at the edge of the Great Salt Lake is still leisure mecca for thousands who come to bathe and thrill in the waters of this inland sea. And believe it or not, you float like a cork. It is impossible to sink due to the high salt content of this briny ocean.
Now watch this.
Its waters are 7 times heavier than the Atlantic or Pacific and contain over 22% salt. So salty that 3 quarts of its water will boil down to 1 quart of fine, pure salt. One need not know how to swim to experience the buoyant sensation of tossing about in the waters of this weird lake, which has no outlet. Its only animal life is a minute shrimp that scuttles over the crystal precipitates at the bottom.
I mean, so you got like a floaty river. I mean, look, man, you could surf the wave in a whole new way.
Swimmers are refreshed and invigorated, even though their bodies are caked with a thin crust of fine salt. Surpassingly beautiful Salt Air Pavilion, with its Moorish architecture, lures thousands of visitors offering pleasure and recreational thrills. Dancing on the largest open-air floor in the world, and easy access to the Great Salt Lake by way of the Putt-Putt Railway, which works overtime carrying sightseers and salt-laden swimmers. Here, too, the waters of the Great Salt Lake provide seasoning enough for all the hard-boiled eggs in existence. Giant pumping plants syringe the brine through flumes, forcing the water into a vast solar evaporating pond. So immense are the salt beds that the human figure walking across them appears pygmish by comparison. Salt is an industry in Utah, and major companies work the year round, supplying the demands of the world for this table necessity.
Are you not the salt of the earth?
Utah highways are pleasure ways, and this time lead us to Ogden, second largest city in the state. New Pineview Dam and Reservoir in Ogden Canyon does its part in creating expansive farms and orchards, and even the canyon itself is spanned by water coursing through a catenary pipeline. Nourishment that works hand in hand with sun and Utah mountain air to produce barley and wheat for the mills of the Beehive State. Here, plow and harrow have cut the earth. As far as the eye can see, waving stems of golden grain give promise of an abundant harvest. Utah's ranges supply ample pasturage for thousands of Hereford and other cattle that graze and fatten on succulent grass. White-faced beeves keep alive and nurture the spirit of the Old West. Glowing embers, white heat, branding irons. Cowhands still ride the Utah Trail. Great artists have been at a loss to properly catch on canvas the simple beauty of sheep serenely grazing. Woolly wanderers, almost 1 million of them, slowly moving from place to place, on intimate terms with the natural beauty that surrounds them. Sheep raising is a major Utah industry, yielding more than $20 million annually.
And where are the shepherds of the sheep?
Leaving Ogden, western terminus of the Rio Grande Railroad, we are thrilled again with the prospect of going places. This time to the throne of the desert empire, Salt Lake City. More than 90 years ago, covered wagons freighted with courageous men and women forced balky oxen over tortuous desert routes. What a contrast. Steel-covered wagons powered with the might of thousands of steam oxen thunder over flashing rails. Carefree, speedy transportation, safeguarded all the way by cyclopean green and red eyes. Ever-alert signal towers, the mechanical mounted police of the steel highways. On we roll, past fertile acres shaded by towering peaks of the Wasatch Range. On to Salt Lake City, miracle metropolis that rose from dead desert sands. Objective is just a matter of moments. Air brakes gently slow our train, while alert porters make ready to empty passenger-crowded vestibules into the busy Rio Grande station. Salt Lake City, commercially and culturally the lodestone of the West, a tribute to the foresight and wisdom of its founder, Brigham Young.
Oh, man.
Majestically situated on a rolling slope, Utah's magnificent granite capital is a fitting symbol of this great commonwealth. Famous Eagle Gate makes a striking arch to the portal which led to Brigham Young's private estate, while close by stands a bronze of him, surmounting the Pioneer Monument, a massive granite pedestal.
Hijack 101.
Sculptured by Dolan, the statue represents Brigham Young in a characteristic pose, and is an excellent likeness of him in his prime. Everything here bears the impress of this brilliant man. And our trip would not be complete without visiting the Emigration Canyon Monument, marking the spot where travel-stained wagons halted on July 24, 1847, to permit their leader, Brigham Young, to rise from his sick bed in a wagon box and exclaim, "Is the place." Presently, the Mormon Tabernacle, seating 8,000 people, is so acoustically perfect that a pin dropped may be heard the length of the auditorium. The great temple is a remarkable example of pioneer architecture. 4 days after his arrival in the desert wilderness, Brigham Young, while walking, suddenly stopped and, striking his cane into the parched soil, said, "Here we will build the temple of our God." The golden-covered statue of the angel Moroni proclaims the restoration of the gospel. Beautiful gardens surround the temple, and most prominent is this cactus reproduction of a beehive, emblem of Utah and haven of the deseret or honeybee, symbolic of industry and thrift. Each day at noon, except Sunday, visitors are treated to inspiring organ recitals in the tabernacle. Here, Dr. Frank Asper, renowned artist, interprets the works of the great masters on this historical organ, which contains 7,000 pipes.
What frequency are they in?
One could go on almost forever wandering through these friendly grounds, replete with symbols of Mormon history. No story ever told is so utterly amazing and dramatic as that miracle of 1848, which prompted this memorial to seagulls, the only monument ever erected to bird life in America. Picture, if you can, pioneers rejoicing over the prospect of harvesting their first crop. Without warning, hordes of crickets start devouring every green thing. Pioneers fight to save the precious grain. Discouraged, they offer prayer. Suddenly, the heavens are filled.
They couldn't grow shit. They couldn't grow shit. What type of people come over here and can't grow shit?
With flocks of seagulls. who devour the crickets, and so a column is erected in remembrance of the mercy of God to the Mormon pioneers.
Idols.
Centrally located are bronze statues of Joseph Smith, the prophet, and his brother Hiram. It is related that, as a boy, Joseph Smith saw a vision, and as a result founded the Mormon religion in Fayette, New York, in April 1830. This is Heber J. Grant, 7th President of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints.
I am delighted always to welcome visitors to Salt Lake City. I like to recall it was stated of old that the house of the Lord should be erected in the tops of the mountains, and people of many nations gathered there, and that the desert would be made to blossom as the rose.
Do you get it? Dodge all the hijack. Do you see what he's saying about the land? He knows where he is. He is not playing you. Listen again to what this man is telling you about your land, copper color, so-called Negro.
I am delighted always to welcome visitors to Salt Lake City. I like to recall it was stated of old that the house of the Lord should be erected in the tops of the mountains, and people of many nations gathered there, and that the desert would be made to blossom as the rose. When Brigham Young led our Mormon people across the plains to the slopes of the Wasatch Range, he looked upon the desert surrounding the Great Salt Lake and cried out, "This is the place." The Lord's house has been built here. A desert has been redeemed. People of many nations have gathered here. I was born and raised in this valley and was a passenger on the first Rio Grande train into Salt Lake City more than half a century ago. The passing years have strengthened the thought I had then that these fertile valleys of the Rockies are a tribute to the industry, sacrifice, thrift, and courage of the pioneer men and women.
Pioneers, the invader. This is the invasion. This is hijack 101, but they sell it to you like, look at these pioneers. Look at these pilgrims. And again, pilgrims only make voyages to holy lands, right? When you think of a pilgrimage, you think, okay, you're going to Mecca, you're going to Jerusalem there, the other one, the later one. Then they're making pilgrimages. But now you hear about the American story about these pilgrims coming here. They're making pilgrimages here, letting you know you're on holy land, as if Columbus didn't already tell you in the Biblioteca de Colombina in Sevilla. I'm coming to America to conquer the holy city and Mount Zion for Ferdinand and Isabella. Straight up. They know who you are, and they know where they are at. And now it's wake up season again. We are the last tribe to wake up. I'll leave this link. Extensive Shemetic presence documented in pre-Columbian America. Many enjoyed a good chuckle when Mel Brooks and Blazing Saddles played a native Indian chief, looks over a stagecoach and then dismisses them in Yiddish, Lozim Gim, let them go. The scene is humorous because it is seemingly so preposterous. I was convinced that someone was attempting to milk this joke when I read of a stone in Los Lunas. We got some of this before with the 9 Commandments. New Mexico, which bore a Phoenician ancient Hebrew inscription of the 10 Commandments, the Decalogue. But it's really 9 Commandments. Get that drop. The stone was first translated by Dr. Robert Pfeiffer of Harvard in 1949 and was confirmed to be a slightly truncated form of the 10 Commandments. Initially, I suspected a forgery. However, my subsequent research revealed ample evidence of Semitic influence in pre-Columbian America before the arrival of that wave of hijacks. There turns out to be literally hundreds of examples from 4 major episodes. We have the examples of the Cherokee Indians, the Bat Creek Stone, the Mayans, and the Jews of Calais. This is a separate document mentioning Calais called the Extensive Shemetic Presence. Getting too excited, man. Getting too excited. I'm just reading this with y'all. Extensive Shemetic Presence documented in pre-Columbian America, man. And he mentions Calais, what we just got. Because I told y'all I wasn't playing you that Calais, meaning promised land. Calix, which is the land of America. Then you got your Israelite kings here rocking in 775. This is just one marker that's popping off the page. Remember your timelines. Everything happened after the 900s. Then they put them back in timelines. You got to keep the timelines in play and surfing that wave, because then you're getting back to reality. And that all this is very, very recent. All this stuff you think is in the BCs is recent. You think you're from over there, you're from over here. You think that's the old world. You're standing in it. And how much of a job they must have done to make us that asleep, to not even know that we are already home. So it's already on when you're already home. But if you think you're from somewhere else, oh boy, well shit. They can treat us like foreigners now, right? But yeah, what's this guy saying, man? He said we have the examples of the Cherokee Indians, the Bat Creek Stone, the Mayans, and the Jews of Calais. Now you're talking 4 corners, Israelites. Let's go. But before I could proceed in my research, I had to be reasonably convinced that the Los Lunas stones was not a forgery or a fake. All right, let's go. We're talking methodology. Dr. Cyrus Gordon, head of the Department of Mediterranean Studies at Brandeis University, 1956 to 1974, and an expert in ancient Semitic languages, wrote, look it up. We are not dealing with a modern forgery. It has been there as far back as the local inhabitants, Indian as well as white, knew. The whites have witnessed it since the 1800s. The Indians call the place the Cliff of the Strange Writings. However, I was still suspicious there was no precise date given for the stone, since radiocarbon dating works only on organic matter such as wood. So you can't date stone, and you know what I'm saying? Adding to the mysteries, indeed to the incredulity, the site has never been fully excavated and investigated academically. Alright, so we gotta do a drop again on radiocarbon dating, so you know what we're talking about. They say you can date stone to this and this and this, but you can only manipulate that so much, and it's very, very, very shaky. So there's a lot of manipulation being done, on the part of science when they bring in these carbon dating scenario. There was, however, plenty of circumstantial evidence of transatlantic contact in the form of early American artwork. There were examples of figures which looked like apes and elephants, even though those two animals are known to never have existed in North America. But you just saw the statues of elephants. You just saw the rock carvings of elephants in 1948. All right, come on. See how it plays. Alexander von Wuthenu was an art historian from the University of the Americas. The University of the Americas. Okay. He found that the facts pouring in from every side brings us to the general conclusion that the ancient American civilization was stimulated by transoceanic contacts before 300 AD. No American Indian types are depicted in the tens of thousands of sculptural ceramic figurines, but only Far Eastern African and various Mediterranean types, especially Semites. So you see how they're all twisted, because we can dodge the hijack, knowing that whatever they're calling African types or Native American types, they're most likely referring to their hijack version, to the version, that came later or was mixed out a result of, but not the, look nothing like the Olmec heads. Look nothing like what's on the Mayan, you know what I'm saying, walls and all that kind of stuff like that. And this is just real spill. So if the so-called Negro is what is popping up on the walls of Mexico, and the carvings coming out the ground, the Olmec heads and all that, whatever, if that resembles the so-called Negro, then that's whose land it is. And that should wake you up to say, okay, this is a Shemetic land, a Kalelu's promised land. You were preserved here, so-called Negro. You don't have to rush into a title. You just have to be. You just got to be. You got to exist. Once you exist, you connect to your Creator in existing. That's your only status you'll ever need, is to exist in the correlation and vibration of the Creator. Either it's real or it's not. Either the Creator exists, or we're just talking, you know what I'm saying, flam blam, flapjacks. But if we're not talking flam bam, flapjacks, then we're talking real spill, real spilloni, real spillionaire, then we're just trying to extract a drop. We're just trying to put the pressure on it. We're just trying to get the pure water, all right? Before 300 AD, no American types are depicted in the tens of thousands of sculpted ceramic figurines, but only Far Easterners, African, and various Mediterranean types, especially Shemites. All right. The historic testimony of artwork is intriguing but hardly conclusive. There are rumors of ancient land bridges which may have accounted for tribal memory of distant animal species, while there seemed to be ample evidence to justify a full academic investigation into the matter. There were not any to be found. Alright, we're talking some figurines. We're trying to match up some Mayan figurines, okay? In his book, Los Lunas Mystery Stone, Dr. Donald N. Yates, look up Yates, he got a lot to say about this, explains that these are numerous other, that these and numerous other finds suggest a transoceanic contact predating Columbus are largely ignored due to dogma. Stephen Jett, a Johns Hopkins trained professor, believes it is because of political correctness and reverse racism, whatever they want to call it. Academians will not look at evidence for transoceanic contact because they view the hypothesis of diffusionism as injurious towards our quote-unquote Native American. So they're trying to protect this image. They're trying to protect that status, something they created. Further, Major John Wesley Powell, who directed the Smithsonian's Bureau of Ethnology, instituted a ban on such investigations in the 1800s, which is, according to Yates, still an accepted policy. While the academic arches may be slow to change and accept the possibility of early pre-Columbian Semitic interactions with America, there appeared to be a groundswell of grassroots evidence and testimony. As recent as 2007, the Northern Cherokee Nation of the old Louisiana Territory has recently shocked the world by claiming their ancient oral legends tell of a Cherokee migration made to America from the area known as Masada. Yates adds that Cherokee traditions maintain that their nation was formed by two strains of people, the Anasazi, or real people, later joined by the Ketuwa, Anigeduwa. All right. Surfed away, look it up, these are a couple I've never heard of, so I gotta look them up. A word which can be traced to Hebrew KTB, right, hence people of the writing or covenant. Bang, that's incredible. So I know I got a lot of researchers, and this is very interesting, and I'll definitely be digging on this. Dr. Gordon was privileged to sit in on a fall harvest feast and was astonished they are speaking the Hebrew names of God. Wow. Finally, a traditional Indian admonishment of a guilty party is Haksit Kanaha, a sinner of Canaan. Haksit Kanaha. A second discovery was unearthed during the course of an official excavation under the Smithsonian's William Emert, 1889, strengthens the notion that the early America was a refuge for Jews or Hebrews escaping Roman rule. In this case, the Bat Creek stone found in Bat Creek, Tennessee, bears the inscription "A comet rock Phoenix for Judea, which is a well-known slogan of the Bar Kochba revolt of 133 CE. All right. So, put it together in the timelines. You know what I'm saying? When you got their so-called Romans and Vespasian and Titus and all this kind of stuff like that. You know what I mean? But we're trying to surf it accurately, man. When did this stuff really go down? All right. So that's the inscription. Wood taken from the site was radiocarbon dated, yielding a date around the 1st or 2nd century CE. While this find is controversial, with an October 2004 American Antiquity article Mainfort and Quas claiming it was a fraud, the debate rages on with the counter argument published in February 2005 in the journey Pre-Columbian McCulloch. Thus, the evidence of the Cherokee Tale and Bat Creek stone suggests America was a refuge for Roman Jewish escapees on at least two separate occasions. And again, when they say Roma, that's why we got that gypsy drop. So go get that gypsy drop so you can connect these Roma with these Indies and these Indias and Romani way before this Jewish Roman. I mean, what is a Jewish? Is there a blackish? Anything ish is not quite it. You only put an ish when it's sort of like, kind of like, I'm hungry-ish. Not quite hungry enough. Alright, so when you see this ish, just know it's shish. Ish is shish. You're just talking Hebrews and Israelites. So he's saying the Bat Creek stone suggests America was a refuge for these Romani, Indian, Israelites, escapees on at least two separate occasions. Another large body of evidence for Semitic influence in America is the bulk of similarities can find in the Mayan sacred text when compared with the Old Testament. We're getting that Papal, we're getting that framer and shaper. Let's go. In his book, The Nexus, the link between the Maya and Semitic languages during pre-Columbian times, David Deal demonstrates a verse-by-verse correspondence between creolized, phonetic creolized, whatever that means, Phoenician and Hebrew phrases of the Torah. So creolized, I don't know if they're referring to the Creole language. All right, let's go. Phoenician and Hebrew phrases of the Torah, the Mayan sacred book, the Papal. See how right on time we are, my family, man, because, it's all right here for us. The fact that we got it up in the library, the fact that you can dig on it at any time. Where's our library at, man? The fact that you
Welcome to Swag Frequency.
Okay.
432 the drop.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm talking about, man. Yeah, man. The fact that you can dig on it, man, and be happy, man. Be happy, man. Now we got the Papal up for you. Let's see, man. Let's find it together. Yeah, man. We build our new framework. You'll be able to just do a search box, man, and do all kinds of cool stuff in the library. So, you know what I mean? It's all coming. But yeah, you see all these great resources. Love to Drive Nation. Boom, the Papal. And we've been pulling that up regarding the framer and the shaper. So get it, man. It's for you. Click the link below. So they're just talking the sacred book, the Mayan sacred book, the Papal, book of the community. Starts with the creation story that closely mirrors that of the Old Testament. It goes on to tell of a migration of the people across the sea that was split, such that they were able to walk dry shod. Remember, Adams of the Coxsacquails said they were following this chief, this Balaam Keats, who split these waters for them to cross over, to cross. They were crossing over. There was a crossing. So you see a cross. And what is the indigenous drop? All right, so it goes into some translation. I'm going to leave this drop so you got it. Now check this out. It says, after a 40-year migration led by a leader, Cuzco Khan. We've been talking about these Khans and the Grand Canyon. They finally reached Chichen Itza. Dio reveals that the name Cuzco Khan is an ancient Hebrew derivative. Kukuk El Khan. El Khan. Khan. So when they had the Cuzco Khan with a C and they were looking for the Grand Khan with a C, and you also see the KH, we're just talking what? Law-giving high priest. So as we have heard Khan as being a title of rulership or like a king, it's also a priest. So it's really a priest king. Khan. And everyone wants the Khan. They want the priesthood. They're always fighting for the Khan. Genghis Khan hijacked the Prester John Khan. According to how they rock it. All right. So, you know, there's some great stuff in here. I'll leave the rest for you. It's even going to go into America, having a meaning mountain wilderness. It said that Hispanize the name, changing a C for a K or adding an A. It has been America ever since. All right? But Ame'ric has a Hebrew origin. Ame'ric, summit of a mountain, emptiness. Ame'ric, mountain, wilderness. What's the drop? What's the drop? Finally, we have the Kalelu settlement. In 1924, a collection of lead tablets was found near Tucson, Arizona. All right, Horace Butler says that's where, boom, you got your Grand Canyon, you got a lot of Egypt, and we were rocking in Egypt, and we had rulership even in Egypt. Now we need to find this Goshen. The crude plates told of a band of Hebrew refugees who fled Charlemagne's Frankish Christian regime and sailed across the Atlantic to a land known as Kalelus. Found together with these plates were ceremonial standards engraved with menorah and Hebrew tags like Shalom, Kadosh, Elohim, Goy, and Goydol, something like that. I'm trying. Now this it says Kalela's Nehushtan healing staff. Numbers 21:4-9 features a serpent wrapped around a staff. All right. Kalela's was founded in 775. Was it? Or was it refounded? According to how it's said in the Forbidden Histories. It says Kalela's records speak of Theodorus as a leader of many peoples who leave the Roman lands, or Roma. We're surfing, and that's India, for Kalela's in 775. Theodorus is none other than the Jewish or Israelite king of Septimania, Romani. Again, every time I see that, I'm just going to hear Romani or Roma, India, Israelite state, just to break your spell that they're trying to keep putting on you. So we're talking about a Romani Israelite state in what they're calling southern France. All right? He is the son of the first Israelite king of Septimania, also called Theodoric theory, Ame'ric. So you got their version of Ame'ric. This was also his title, Ame'ric de Norban, Mahir Tadros, Theodorus, Theodoric, Ame'ric, Chativ, Nehemiah, Naaman, Amir ben Amir. Is also known as Theodoric, king of Saxony, and Namus, duke of Bavaria. He and his brothers were great warrior Davidic princes. They were Davidic princes, sons of David. Israelite kings, sons of David, Babylonian exilarchs of the time of Charlemagne. So it's confirming this other document. a separate substantiating source. On the death of his father, Mahir Theodoric, in about 765 AD, Nehemiah Theodoric becomes the Western Exarch. That's the Israelite king. During this Babylonian, situation, captivity, and leader of all the Israelites, not Jews, Israelites. That J is a new J, right? That J ain't even real. The J ain't even real. So let's break the spell. So we got this Israelite king, this son of David, all right, who's Prester John, priest king, and leader of all the Jews, Israelites of the revived Western Romani Empire. All right, in 775, Nehemiah Theodoric reconquered the Ame'rican empire of Kalalus. Kalalus was ruled by Sylvanus till Texas, Solomon the Builder, the hereditary ruler of this former Israelite-ruled Romani colony. So it seems to be, either a takeover of this Theodoric, like you're going to hear one version of it where Theodoric is taking it over from this Solomon the Builder. You're going to hear another version where this Theodoric is reconquering it for Solomon the Builder. So, we're still trying to get what version of what side of what more was on this side and what more was on this side of what, kingdom. But this is before the so-called European hijack. Before that particular invasion, it was already going down. So he had to reconquer the Ame'rican empire of Kalalus, or Promised Land. All right, so we're just surfing it up. Kalalus was founded in the 1st century BC. They're saying the other one says 775 it was founded. Nah, this one says the 1st century BC. By the Babylonian exarch known as Sylvanus Ogam, or Sylvanus Brabo. Solomon II, Babylonian exarch, Israelite king. During this Babylonian captivity, Nassau of Mara, ruler of Sumer set in Britain, a great Romani Israelite ruler, soldier and ancestor of the Swan Knights. You heard about these knights and these Templars. Who was Prester John? Barber Hakzan. He also had a fleet of trading vessels known as the ships of Solomon, or the swan boats. You heard a lot about Solomon's ships and Hiram of Tyre. The ships are shaped like a swan with its sails like the wings of a beautiful gliding white swan. After the defeat of Sylvanus till Texas, the members of the royal family were sent back to Europe, where they were under the protection of Nehemiah Theodorus. So now you have these Scottish Highland families going back and forth, connecting back to Europe, from America to Europe. You see the crest. So after this particular defeat, it said members of this royal family were sent back to Europe under the protection of this Rus, Theodorus, and his family. The legends of Ogier and Dane, and the Dane, son of Godfrey, Cadrod, and Dun de Mayence, actually refer to Tuatha de Danaan, Dan, tribe of Dan, or Dunan, who are also known as the Mananan, or Maine of America. What up, man? So you see your Maine, you see your Massachusetts, you see this, and you say, oh, snap. Now I'm starting to see the old world, the Mananan. Just like Michigan is Meshiokan. Meshi, Moshe. Follow it. The Irish legend of Regamon also alluded to this family. So, this is just a little sneak peek of what we do in that Forbidden Histories of America series. But I love the fact that this particular drop is walking with this. Talking about Kalalus was founded in 775 when the colony's first leader, Theodorus, wrestled the capital Rhoda from the native Toltec. A recent discovery off the coast of Haifa gives a possible vessel for the transatlantic crossing. So, we've been back and forth, and, you know, certain things are different, obviously, in this one and that one, but they coincide. So this one is saying that Theodorus wrestled it from the native Toltec. This one is saying that Theodorus reconquered the American Empire. Calais was ruled by Sylvanus Toltexus. Solomon the Builder, hereditary ruler of the former Israelite-ruled Romani colony. So which, you know what I'm saying, which, you know what I mean? Is this the takedown of Theodorus on Toltexus? I'm trying to figure this out with y'all. Help a brother out. Or, you know what I'm saying, did Theodorus, was he, you know, reconquering it for this Toltexus, Solomon the Builder? And, you know, which one, you know, was the hijack? Which one's hijacking who? I mean, that's what we're trying to get to. But these are new things popping up for us, to new breadcrumbs, right? All right, man. Calais went on to record a long and tumultuous history of wars, near defeats, and eventually total defeat around 900. Back to that 900. Then you got all those waters drying up into the underground river and Lake Kapala and all the, you know what I'm saying, oceans of Utah, you know, drying up. And then you got the Anasazi migration from there into Tenochtitlan in Mexico. So they're leaving the Four Corners after this 900. After Calais was defeated, all the waters left. It's like the you know what I'm saying, like the earth itself said, all right, if our people fail, we're also going to subside. We're also going to take our water away until our people return. And is the water going to be restored? Is your mountains going to become trees again? Will your dry land flourish, as it says in, you know, Jeremiah and all these great drops that we're getting in Isaiah? So during its history, there were many interactions between Calais and Narbonne of Carolinian Carolinas state, modern-day France, where Jews, Israelite, enjoyed self-governance. So they had self-governance in France. It was in Narbonne that the Kabbalah was created from its well-respected yeshiva. Yeats ends his book with the tantalizing yet teasing notion that it was the Jews of Calais, or the Israelite Empire, American Empire in the Promised Land here, that wrote the Los Lunas Decalogue stones, those commandments, in New Mexico. Hawiku. That's where Estevanico died, right? Hawiku in the Zuni Cibola, Calais, Promised Land complex. That these Israelites of Calais wrote the Los Lunas Decalogue stone, given the presence of various Kabbalistic petroglyphs surrounding it. A key nearby petroglyph depicts the Torah, the heavenly chariot, Merkabah, and the trees of illuminations, Sephirah, all central Kabbalistic emblems. We're just talking what they're calling hidden. And these are the artifacts, you know what I mean? Has Yeats found a probable author of the Los Lunas Decalogue stone? More generally, have there been Shemetic transatlantic crossings, or is this already their land? You don't have to keep crossing the Atlantic. If it's yours, if you're here, an interaction with pre-Columbian America. And it goes into it, man. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, man. Yeah. I just want to go a little deeper on that and connect that for y'all, man. Let's get about 20 minutes if we can. We got enough time. Let's just get as much as we can of this. Yeah, man. I'm gonna do my dismount there. You know, let's get some of this Chief Warhorse, man. Let's get out this library right quick. Y'all go dig on it. Click on the link. Get those resources. Let those flutes be them flutes. And keep rocking, man. Let's start. Yeah, this is a good place to start. Chief Warhorse, cooking with the Chief Show. Love to Chief Warhorse. And man, we all digging, man. We all searching for that indigenous truth, man. Let go.
Y'all with me? European don't mean white folks. As we see it today, European meant they came from the European area. No matter what color the skin was. Because I have looked at the different hues of color that came in from Europe was not one color. So it's easy for to look back and see Creoles enslaving and buying African slaves It was easy for people of Portugal to buy slaves. And then you start seeing your free people of color of New Orleans. They were people who came in here with either the Spanish or the French of those eras when this was a foreign country, and they established themselves in business. They didn't come in here as a slave. They came in as a part of the expeditions of exploring these soils. That's what they came here for. A lot of them, as they got richer, they got lazier. So they had to incorporate someone to do the labor. They found so much riches they couldn't handle it themselves. So they needed to incorporate someone to do the work for them. Who did they incorporate? They tried to enslave the Indians that was here. On their own land, they tried to enslave us. But they couldn't handle us. History proved it. So they got land that they can grow rice. They got land that they can grow corn. They have land they can grow cotton. But they don't have the skills to do it. So now we're going to end up bringing in people from Africa who already was raising rice, who already was raising corn, who already was raising beans, and enslave them so they could have food, because there was no Walmart to run and get your grocery basket to run through the house. Your food relied on being raised. So you can't raise food and be out here killing Indians and stealing at the same time. So you got to have somebody to work your fields and raise your food so you can eat. Or when you came here, you just went and took what the Indians had. Indians wasn't living as savages. There are written proof that the Indians was trading in the islands long before European come. Hopefully we'll get a web page going or a Facebook going so we can put some books out there and put some pictures out there so we all start digging and asking questions. Okay? But they saw the black Indians trading. They said they were red copper colored. What color is that? That's kind of dark, huh? Well, I don't see red copper colored Indians today. They're under the African American banner. Somebody else is under the banner. And what they call it is, well, when I ask anthropologists, archaeologists, historians about this, they'll say, well, the Indians today, the modern Indians, don't look like the Indians of ancient times. Well, what happened? Guess what we back to? The chicken and the duck. That's because something been hatched underneath something that didn't belong under that title. Otherwise, you cannot say that the Indians today don't look like the Indians before. Why do the Africans of today look like the Africans of yesterday? We don't have modern Africans in Africa. But we have modern Indians only in America. Even the Caribbean islands, which we once was a part of, acknowledges that the people of color was the first people. Hawaii was founded by a black king. Not long ago in the 60s, Hawaii had a black queen. But we won't acknowledge the first people here in America here were black. I find problems with that. Some people say, well, you know, it really don't make sense. As long as I'm here and I'm living and I'm doing, it really don't matter. Yes, it does. I'm going to show you some reasons it matter. When I go to the courts and sit and watch kids going to jail, or when I go talk to them in prison, they say, I just don't know. I didn't have nothing to connect to. So I connected with the wrong stuff. See, after integration, black folks now have made it. Somebody died for us to have our right to do nothing but lose our children to the prisons and the jailhouses. But if we start a family quest, I ain't say quest, to find out who we are and getting our children involved, to building back some pride besides a slave ship and a jailhouse. Okay? Why we want to tell them all of them came from slavery? Why? Why we want them all to be proud because they was a slave? Then I hear Black America say, I'm trying to get my 40 acres and a mule. That was supposed to have been for the Buffalo Soldiers, for going and kill up the Indians. That wasn't for everybody. What they did give black people after slavery was the Freedom Bureau, just like you have the Indian Bureau, and they took that back. If anything, they need to fight to put back the Freeman Bureau so that they can address the issues of the black people like the Indians address their issues through the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Do that make sense? They didn't leave the Indian Bureau with the freed slaves and sharecroppers for 200 years. They only had it for about 100 and some years. And they were supposed to, okay, now you got it, go. Well, I feel about whoever they brought to these shores and enslaved them, the same I feel about my people who was already on these shores. If you brought these people from their land and stripped them of their identity and stuck them under another species to hatch them, okay? Because, like, remember now, the Africans is out of their norm, too. Be it from Congo or wherever. They're not in their tradition and their culture. They were stripped of that. So, they just like the Indians, the chicken under the duck, being hatched. So I'm a chicken. So, here you got Africans who've been hatched to say I'm American. They don't know nothing about the Congo people or none of this. You know, I think Alex Haley gave to those black communities something to reach for when he did Roots. And they figured, well, if he went and found his way back, I'm going to go find my way back. Y'all know how many years black folks been trying to find their village in Africa since Roots? You know how many people done died and haven't found their roots? Maybe your roots wasn't over there. Maybe your roots is over here. Do this make sense? Maybe you're looking in the wrong place. Because the duck can go back in his root, and he came from a duck that came from a duck that came from a duck that came from a duck. You are a chicken that came from a chicken that came from a chicken that came from a chicken that got placed under a duck. So if you start going down the same history that duck going looking for your roots, you're never going to find it. You're going to just keep seeing duck, cluck. That don't match. Duck, quack. Duck, cluck. So now you this unique species in the midst of trying to talk and act like the duck. And it becomes frustrating at a point. And you're always looking at these young people out here talking about they stealing and they doing this. No, they trying to figure why no matter where I go, I'm under a curse, look like, of blackness. And I can't get the black off. Well, I want to tell them, don't get the black off. Stop trying to quack. Begin to cluck. How you cluck? What we doing today? We're trying to teach you to stop looking in the wrong places. Quack. See? That's what the duck says. This is what the chick say. Cluck, cluck. Let's cluck with each other. You know, they call it, they say a bunch of hens get together. All they do is cluck, cluck. We need to cluck, cluck. How did I move from 250 BC of history of people of color to slavery, and that's where we stop? And I don't care where you go in Louisiana, they stop history at the 1803. Nobody want to go to the 1700. That's when the egg was moved. Now it's our job to say, okay, we're going to get this egg situation straight. We cannot correct all of history. We cannot gain back all that was stolen. But I tell you what we can do. We can do a doggone good job of helping the next generation have a foundation. We put more money into going to Saints games and hooping and hollering. We won and we still losing. Tom Benson got that money. Him and his family, now they fighting over it. You ain't got nothing. We always is trained to get a high off of somebody else's riches. Okay? Or what somebody else have. If you don't get a high off it, you get jealous. So we need to get rid of those two mentalities. We need to say, at least for a year, we're going to invest back into our own history and our own culture so it can unfold for the next generation. We will take our money and move from our neighborhoods to move to a neighborhood where white folks is to say, now we're successful. But what you're doing is you're stripping your history away from you, and you're losing it farther and farther. But now I'm seeing a lot of people who left and went somewhere else. They're coming back home. Yeah. And then when they get back home, they ask a question. Why nothing haven't changed? Because you left. If you would have stayed, your tax dollars would have went to helping keep things improved. And your body could have been another body here counted on the census. And another thing that you could have brought, knowledge. But we are getting our education and leaving our communities to prove that we have made it. Then when you go back, somebody else is living where your people used to be. Well, that's your history gone. What I'm trying to say is, instead of trying to get to Africa, let's find, if you're a Creole, I'll give you a challenge. Find where your one-drop Indian blood come from. Because the white man counted everybody out on a one-drop black blood. Right? How can the Indians now be literally blue-eyed, blonde hair, and they took the place of people that look like us? And some of them don't even have to be federally recognized as the past. They can be adopted into a tribe. Was not President Obama just adopted in a tribe a while back? Mm-hmm. So a tribe has the right to adopt whoever they want to adopt. Mm-hmm. Is Black America looking? So I'd rather say Black America. Are we looking? Dr. King said in his speech of, I have a dream. He said the Negro people are in exile in their own land. Dr. King was an intelligent man. I can't see Dr. King making that mistake saying the Negro people are in exile in their own land. He did not say in the speech the Negro people have been taken from their land in Africa and brought to this land. He did not say that in that speech. If you don't believe me, go pull up I Have a Dream. And he said the Negro people are in exile in their own land. See, I understood that because I grew up with my grandfather saying we were born in exile. How we get in exile? Well, when the United States brought us in by decree under C.C. Claiborne as the governor, who was brought in from Tennessee, who was a Jayhawker, who was an expert at killing and removing Indians. And he had the approval by James Madison, the President of the United States, to do this. So who do you go to? We couldn't call the FBI. We couldn't call the NAACP. We couldn't call SCLC. That didn't exist. So we fought for ourselves. And stories got passed down. And I heard these stories growing up. And that's what I'm fighting today. To prove that them old people knew who they were. So they passed it down. They passed the stories. They passed the names down of who was doing these things to us. Even the complexion of them. So, I challenge people to do that. I think this is the first show, even though I've done tons of shows around the country, I think this is the first show in our local area that's going to be concentrating on us to get it right. So that we can show the children at least we're trying to be there for them. We study saying we're there for this generation, but we're not. They are frustrated because they don't know where they fit. And they tried to fit in with the duck. They tried to fit in with the swan, and they got them locked up in prison or killed. Put them back in their environment. Even if you say you are African American from slavery descent, there were villages in Africa. There were tribes in Africa. There's villages that was here. And tribes that was here. So no matter which continent we come from, we have this thing about tribal mentality, helping one another to survive. We don't need food stamp, welfare, Section 8. We don't need that. Because our people survived for thousands of years without government handout. And when the government is handing you something in one hand, you're losing a whole lot more in the other hand.
In the other hand, it's the magician. So, you know, I'll leave this link as well, man, and love to the, you know, Chief Wars, man, you know, kicking that drop right up on your Facebook, man. So, and love to the sister that dropped that on me so I can share it with you. And this is the last link I'll drop on y'all, man, as we make our dismount here. Yeah. This is a wonderful fan band, man, that's been surfing the wave. And honestly, man, I'm just trying to catch up, you know what I'm saying, to this researcher here, man. Anasazi, a lot of y'all heard of naziresearch.org. You got the link, I'll leave it underneath. Who's breaking down, you know, these Ame'rican Indians, you know what I'm saying? We're just talking the indigenous folk. Alright, so, you know, I'm surfing the wave with area, you know what I'm saying? We still see a lot of, you know, these images up, you know what I mean? But we could still get these babies because this is going to connect exactly to everything that Chief Warhorse was just dropping, alright? The video above identifies Native Americans and related people of North, Central, South America, Caribbean islands as the descendants of the lost tribes of the house of Israel, Kalalus. According to both biblical and secular historical accounts, various scriptures and extra biblical sources are quote from toward the later half of the video. The video follows the northern kingdom of Israel after the Assyrian captivity. More specifically, it follows the peaceable multitude branch of the Israelites that separate themselves from the massive horde of pagan, warlike nomads and Scythians. The file was corrupted while being edited and uploaded, so some of the audio video are out of sync. Alright, man. So, you know, alright. So they're talking about this video. Alright. Let's go. Let's check some of this out. Many years ago, the attention of the compiler of the following pages was first called to the subject of hearing a lecture developed or delivered by a highly educated Cherokee Indian on the manners and customs of the various Indian tribes of North America. During the course of his remarks, he stated that when he came to study the Hebrew language, he was astonished to find so much of his own language that was pure Hebrew. And after enumerating the various words of his own language that were Hebrew, he found them to exceed 50, and said he, we were taught this by our ancestors, and they received it from their Hebrew ancestors, the 10 tribes. And furthermore, he stated that he was as firmly convinced that the Indian tribes of North America were descendants of the 10 tribes of Israel, and he was any other fact. This statement induced us to examine history on this question, and we have found many facts corroborating the testimony of the red man. Copper color, red is copper color. It is synonymous, how they use it, of the forest. Though differing from some other writers on the subject, we have the testimony of a number of the most eminent men of America to sustain our position, to sustain the fact that these copper color races found here are Hebrew, which is why they're taking Hebrew interpreters to come find you, so-called Negro. And I'll leave the rest, man. It's getting to some Bartolome de las Casas. You know, we're talking to West Indians in Peru. We are preparing for the redemption of the Western world in the Messianic era. Their conversion is apt indeed, as I am convinced the Indians originate in ancient Israel. This is from Bartolome de las Casas. So they're taking these, you know, letters and manuscripts of these conquistadors, of these invaders at this time. We were preparing for the redemption of the Western world in the Messianic era. Their conversion is apt indeed, as I am convinced the Indians originate in ancient Israel. Indeed, I can bring proofs from the Bible that they are the lost tribes. You were preserved here, my people, my people. You know, they got their images. All right. But you know what I'm saying? We know what we're digging on, because I already know what's up. Because she put, you know what I'm saying, Ame'rican, a native of America. This is the 1828 Webster Dictionary, their first compilation of definitions, and when you look up American before they stole your title, Ame'rican, you see a copper penny on this brother. She didn't use no other images for that. They used just a Negro, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or Originals or copper color races, copper penny, copper brother, found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of the invader. Now applied to the descendants of European born in America. The name American must always exalt the pride of patriotism, says Washington. But the name American only applied to the copper-colored Negro until it was hijacked to apply to the descendants of those that are invading this land. Not the copper-colored Negro. And man, she got some brothers on here too, man, kicking some major drive. Let's get a dismount with the little Indian featuring the foreigner. One little Indian, I mean, I can't make this up. But these dudes go high.
Well, I was just driving in my car, I'm cruising,
Stay up.
listening to music, looking at the girls, it's amusing. Ignition, turn off the key, I'm on a mission. Dismissing, miracle, lyrical addition, condition. My brain is pumping hard like a piston. Competition is getting less, I'm the best, so listen. You wishing to run away from my smoke of power. An hour is all I need to have you in my power. A flower, one rose, no one knows how it goes, full of holes. The stage is empty, I'm good at plenty, gently. Put you in your place, don't try to tempt me. Just three, one little Indian smoking in a tree. One little Indian smoking in a tree. R-I-P-P-I-N-G.
Yeah.
One little Indian smoking in a tree. R-I-P-P-I-N-G.
Yeah.
One little Indian smoking in a tree. R-I-P-P-I-N-G. It's the Invises, taking our competition like diseases. He freezes, coolie man, the one who prays on Jesus. So leave us, the tournament is done, you better believe us. The crust is peeling off, the mic is starting to rust. So bust, it's a must, I grab the mic and check it. I wreck it, E-man grab it second, I wreck it.
Yo, it's the foreigner, that's never boring. You're slamming to keep you jamming, there is no ignoring the accent to wake up the flavor. Espanol or English, distinguish this English I gave ya. Es el Latino, Panameño to be exact. Soy el que vino, I'm the one that came to get fat.
man.
Bringing folk from the Caribbeans, taking out the payasos, the clowns and comedians. With my Indians, smoking in a tree. R to the A to the B, the P, the I-N-G.
One little Indian smoking in a tree.
I-N-G.
One little Indian smoking in a tree.
I-N-G.
One little Indian smoking in a tree.
I-N-G.